Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for having this meeting in your place of operation. A little challenging parking, but I'm really glad for all of us to show up. This is so important for me. Okay, I am so honored to have Kirk Moody here and George Flikas, Nancy's father and husband, because this task force is a result of Nancy Flikas, who, when I first was elected to office in November, this was the first time I was made aware of something like this that could happen to anyone who has a loved one who can wander, whether it's an older adult, although Nancy was only 55, yeah, or, that's not old, or a child who could also be prone to wandering. And the grief, the sorrow, the frustration a family member goes through when that happens. When I went to their home in Manhattan Beach just to, I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know what to offer. But when I listened to Kurt and when I listened to George and his wife talk about how from the moment it happened, they were visiting LACPA, they were visiting the museum. And it was a split second, and Nancy was gone and has not been found yet. But the frustration I heard from them was, you know, who's in charge? You know, which law enforcement agency is going to take the lead on this? How do we know if she boarded a bus? You know, she could be, you know, in 20, 30 minutes, she could hop on a bus and be, you know, in another county practically. The grief of every day they woke up and they called another nursing home just to see if maybe Nancy ended up there. The tough calls they must, you know, had to make trying to call the coroner's office. Did someone come in? Was there a Jane Doe that came in? And I was struck by the fact that, you know, we can do better. We can do better in Los Angeles County. I love LA County. I think this is the best place in the world to grow up. I grew up here. To raise a family. I raised a family here. To go to school, to work, to achieve your dreams. I love LA County. We have more resources at our fingertips, you know, than you know, all but 7 states in the country. You know, we have 10 million people. We have a $30 billion budget. We have the most amazing county employees, I think, that exist. I thought we could do better. We could figure out how to have a better first responder protocol. We could figure out a better way to immediately surround a family that had this happen to them and offer them some hope, some promise, some feeling that we were going to do everything we could to bring their loved ones back. I created this task force with the help of Cynthia and the fact that so many of you are here already on our 3rd meeting, and I was hoping that you would figure out a way to do just that. How can we do this better? I am so excited to have Glendale Police Department here to show their, what's it called? Project Lifesaver. It's an amazing, they will tell you all about it. It's an amazing program that I think they have 100% success rate of folks that have signed up for it and wandered. They were found quickly. So I'm hoping that we can do something like that in Los Angeles County. We know that older Americans, older adults, we're hanging around longer. We're suffering probably more health challenges than maybe others did. So I think Los Angeles County is a perfect place for us to come together and create a program that we can offer to residents of Los Angeles County that would give them, the families, peace of mind, the caregivers peace of mind, and all of us peace of mind, that we value every life. We love every life. and we want to do whatever we can to improve the quality of life for all the residents of LA County. Cost may be an issue, but I want us to put cost aside. Right? I want us to put cost aside. I want to have the best possible program for LA County residents. We can figure out the cost. We can figure out the budget. We can figure out how to pay for the best possible program available. No life is worth not having the perfect program. Lives are priceless, and the Moody's and the Felipas, their family has suffered, every day it's still tough. So I know we can do better, and I know that I, for one, hope and pray every day still that we will find answers, and we will be able to bring her home. But thank you for being here, and let's go to work.
Thank you, Supervisor, for that call of action. We really appreciate it. This group is very motivated. They have been providing information about possible resolutions to present to you and to the Board of Supervisors. And to that end, we today will be reviewing 2 possible models that could be considered as part of our recommendation to the board.
Excellent.
We will also, during our meeting today, assess the information that has been presented by the number of county departments that are part, and law enforcement agencies that are part of this group as well. To begin our process today, I'm going to reintroduce to you Richard Franco, who is going to introduce to you our academic partner that will facilitate the balance of the meeting. Richard?
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here again. Supervisor Hahn, thank you so much for your leadership. Cynthia, it's been a pleasure. Very happy to introduce and announce that we have, as you mentioned at the last meeting, we wanted to bring in an expert in the research field. And we are happy to announce that USC, Dr. Kate Wilper, is the person that we have retained to provide us with guidance with this program. And one of her lead researchers is Dr. Navarro. And she's here to not only be the person to lead this research and study of the programs that we're going to put as recommendations toward the board, but she's also going to be facilitating our meetings from here on out. So please welcome Dr. Navarro.
I'm honored to be a part of this task force and to really help kind of align with all of you in our mission put forth by the Board of Supervisors. We really want to strive together to collect as much information about what currently exists. How can we leverage some of that great work that's already being done in the county? Better collaboration and coordination may help. And then begin to the exciting endeavor of looking at some new technology and looking at what might be the solution to do a better job in this area. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that this meeting is subject to the Graham Act. And as an academic, I had to look that up, but Rich is great.
As a politician, I don't have to look that up.
Yes.
I know what it means.
So in 1953, this act was passed, and we know that this is an open meeting. And so the idea is that we give time for public comment. We want to be sure that this is inclusive. And I think it really represents what we want to do with this task force for our work to be successful. We're going to really need the community to enact it and to be more aware and to know when to use us when something goes right. So everybody's informed. This is following the Graham Act. And I guess a part of that, what helped me too, is to remember that we do have a website for this task force. And so you actually can use a search engine and it comes right up. We're Bringing Our Loved Ones Home Task Force. It is part of the WEDAX platform, so you will see that as the Workforce Development, Aging Community Services, LAcounty.gov. So if you have any problem looking at it, let us know. But watch that, because what's nice now is we have video of the meetings, we also have minutes, so we're able to kind of stay on track together. So again, our purpose today is really to look at two wonderful programs that facilitate a timely response when someone does go wandering. And so I don't want to take too much time away from that. I want to move into that right away. Later in the meeting, we're going to kind of talk about where we are. A lot of work has been going on over the last 2 months, so we'll kind of get everybody up to speed. So it's my pleasure to introduce Sergeant Tracy Fox. They'll be coming up from the Glendale Police Department. So Tracy Fox has 23 years of law enforcement experience working in the training unit of the Glendale Police Department. She's been in that particular position for 5 years. She's helped to develop their use of the Project Lifesaver program with their training program there. And this works hand in hand with specialized equipment we'll get a chance to see today. The program currently has 19 active members. They range in age, 7 to 85 years old. And they have diagnoses such as Alzheimer's and autism. She's joined by Javier Michael. Is it Michelle or Michael? Michelle, I'm sorry. Javier Michelle is here. He has 12 years of law enforcement experience and has really worked closely as a partner to Sergeant Fox to get this Project Lifesaver off the ground. I think you've been with the program 2 years, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. So with that, without further ado, let me turn it over to you.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon. We're very excited to be here to discuss our Project Lifesaver program that was started in the city of Glendale. A little bit about how this program started. About 3 years ago, we were working with Kate Mobius and Autism Speaks about getting some training in for our officers on autism, and then working with other agencies on Alzheimer's, getting additional training. That's really what we were seeking. During that process, we were contacted by a member of our community who has a son that's autistic. And that member of the community had come across a federal grant that would allow for tracking devices to be purchased by law enforcement agencies. It was something we really hadn't thought about, but we started, in some roundtables with our, community partners. We started looking into some equipment that was out there on tracking. We did find out that the federal grant was very, very cumbersome and would probably not give us the supplies we would need to actually get the program up and off the ground. So what we did is, after researching several programs, we came across Project Lifesaver International, and Javier has passed around some of the brochures to everybody. This is our particular brochure for the city of Glendale. But Project Lifesaver is an international company. It's based specifically back on the East Coast, and it's a very robust program back there with agencies, law enforcement agencies. It's not so much out here on the West Coast. There's only a handful of agencies such as Palm Springs, Monterey County, I know Monrovia's gotten it, and Azusa PD as well. However, those programs are not as active as ours are. Okay, several of the programs, they have purchased the equipment and not done anything with. So what we did is we found why we chose Project Lifesaver in particular. It's technology that's run on radio frequencies. Okay, everybody's got a cell phone nowadays. Everybody says GPS is the way to go. Unfortunately, in the city of Glendale, and I'm sure in many other cities around the county, there are significant dead zones where you don't get cell service. Okay, even in 2017, you still don't get cell service everywhere. So the concern for us was that anybody that would go missing in those 2 zones, which is our Big Canyon area, which would be a huge issue for somebody to go missing in that area. So this is like old school technology. It's radio frequencies. There's really not much that will affect the signal, okay? Yeah, it does reduce the signal, and we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But after doing some demos in our city with this program, we decided this was the program to go with. So we approached our command staff and asked for a request of about $6,000 to purchase 2 receivers and 10 wristbands to get the program up off the ground. My promise to the chief of police was, after that day, this program would not cost him a cent. And 3 years have gone by, he has not paid a cent to this program. And how we do that is every wristband, if you were to purchase from Project Lifesaver International, you can go on their website, you can purchase the wristband, anybody can do it. You don't have to be law enforcement. it will cost you $375. That includes wristbands, batteries, the actual wristband, and the chip inside. $375 that's shipped to your house. So what we do at the City of Glendale is we purchase those 10 wristbands for $375. So that way, if you have a family member that needs to be on the program, you contact us. We have a wristband ready to go. It takes about 2.5 to 3 weeks to get these shipped to you. So we have them ready to go at the police department. Now, what we ask of those families is that you contribute by paying back either all or what you can back of that $375 to go back into the account to purchase another wristband for another family. Okay. Now, we have yet to turn any families away. I have families that pay me $30 every time I go out to change the battery on that because that's all they can afford. When looking into this, it was we want these families to also be invested into the program. Okay? How you invest them into the program is maybe they can only pay $10, but you know what? They have purchased that equipment. They are now vested into the program. That's something with me at that point. We also went out to the community and found agencies. We've got several of our hospitals that have Alzheimer's programs. We've got our police foundation, our fire department foundation, various associations around the department. Around the city. We have our College View School who has also donated the funds to purchase a wristband for those families who absolutely cannot afford it. So if I have a family member call me up this afternoon and say, my father has Alzheimer's and he just wandered away last night, I am scared to death, we will drive out there and we will put a wristband on them and I will worry about money later. Okay? I have yet to have an issue where I cannot afford to buy another wristband to keep the program going. Okay? There's enough people out there that want to help. There's enough families out there. When you look at it in the global perspective of what families are paying for medical care and all that, it's really a drop in the bucket when you think about it. But again, the priority for me is to get that wristband on that family member to give them peace of mind. Today we have 19 individuals on the program, again, like we said, ranging from age 7 to age 85. Our youngest member is a little boy that's autistic, very rambunctious, cutest little guy you've ever seen. And one of the ways that we worked with him, as you know, one of the things with autism, they don't necessarily like to wear wristbands. They don't like to wear certain things. It bugs them. So we have to be a little creative on how we do this. I have several autistic clients on the program. This little gentleman I was talking about, my 7-year-old, we have convinced him that we will give him a surprise if he wears that wristband for me for 6 months. Okay? He is so eager to wear that wristband for me. Okay? That's the first thing when he comes running into my office to change his battery, I'm wearing my wristband. Okay? Because he knows he's going to get something. What his surprise is, and he knows what it is, he got to pick out his favorite color wristband. And so in 2 weeks when we go out to do his battery change, he will now have a blue wristband with a band on it because he has cooperated with the program, okay, to keep that on. So we encourage the families to come up with ideas to help us keep those wristbands on. We have several clients that won't wear the wristband, okay? For example, I have another autistic gentleman, a little bit older. He will not wear the wristband. Okay, will not wear it on his ankle, won't wear it anywhere. But he will not leave the house without his backpack. So we have hidden the transmitter in his backpack. Okay? Now, when we first sat down with the family, one of the great things about this program is Javier and I get to go out and interact with these families and help them build strategies to keep their families safe. And we learned a lot going out there. So when we went out and we were sitting talking with his mom, she says he never leaves home without his iPad. Great, where does his iPad go? In his backpack. Okay. Guess what was the very first thing he didn't leave home with when he first walked away on my program? The iPad was sitting on the kitchen counter. Okay? The backpack was on his back. Okay? So we learned kind of trial and error working with these. Luckily, we had already thought ahead and had it in his backpack. But we work with the families to find out what works with that particular client. I have an elderly client on the program, same thing, she won't wear it, but she always carries her little black purse. The tracker's in her little black purse, okay? We have other families that we've had to be a little creative. Yes, can you take the wristband off? Absolutely. If you were really determined to take it off, you can take it off. There's different wristbands we work with. We have another family member that every morning they put it on just like a watch. Okay, their loved one believes that that's their watch. It's a routine for them. They've built in that routine. We also tell our families that this is not the one technology that's going to save everything in every example. Something's going to go wrong at some point. So we encourage them to look into other technologies. We help them. We brainstorm possible issues around the house. You know, maybe getting the little lock buzzers by their doors, that sort of thing. So if I could say anything about this program that's really been amazing for us, is getting out there and working with the families who felt so alone in this whole process and thought nobody really cared about them. Getting out and seeing them every other month and watching their faces just light up when they have a friend in the community who's helping them work towards this and to help keep their loved ones safe. So it really has built in that nice peace of mind for the families. It's done wonders for our officers. The training alone has gotten them built up their skills on what exactly an autistic individual may look or act like, what an Alzheimer's person may say or do. So really the education is very important. Now, as far as the equipment, some of our best saves we mentioned, you mentioned a school or getting on a bus.
Right.
You know, did Nancy get on a bus? We don't know. Guess what? One of our first saves, we tracked our client who was sitting on one of our Beeline buses, and we were following right next to it with the equipment. So I'm going to go ahead and let Javier explain how this system works.
So just like Sergeant Fox said, these are some of the components we have here with the program. I'll start off with well, actually the wristband. This is the wristband that we give our client. This is a wristband here, and I'm sure there's a picture there on the brochures in front of you. These are the ones we give our clients. Along with that, the caregiver are kind of pretty much the ones we're issuing these to, are these little battery testers. And the only thing they have to do is just place it over the wristband, and you should get a little blink. And that tells the person it's functional, it's working, the battery does not need to be changed. We do have a database or a system that alerts us every 45, 60 days. That gives us an alert, hey, you got to go visit this client, and you change the battery on it.
And
It's a
you
little watch
change
pad.
the batteries.
We do, and Sergeant Fox made that, and it's probably been one of the best experiences ever. We're now getting our cadets involved with this. You build that relationship. You know, some of the 5, great saves that we've had, these people recognize us right away. The one on the bus, the autistic kid we found in the wash in the city of Burbank, they recognize us right away. So it goes a long ways just to be able to have that, So when they go missing, the caregiver is supposed to notify us immediately, and each wristband has like a code or a frequency number that you program into this receiver here, and then you just automatically, when we get the call, we respond from the station, we're already activated, we're already searching to a location. It's the same device that goes up on the air or a helicopter. I was actually one of the lucky ones to be on that one. The last save we had with this kid at the wash, from a couple thousand feet in the air, it worked actually a lot better than being on the ground. Think about this little item here being able to be located from up above and direct units down to where the person was at. So it's just phenomenal. It works great. It's been very successful for us. And we also do have a couple more, like Sergeant Fox mentioned, some more different type of wristbands. Some prefer more comfortable watch type like. We also have these that are kind of harder to cut for more of like your autistic type of clients, but it's pretty much it. You know, for law enforcement, when we first brought this, is oh my God, it's more equipment. You know, it looks complicated. Not at all. Once we started to get this more introduced to everyone and trained, you know, it's been very successful. Everyone's been learning how to use it even more, and of course, with the more missings we've been getting, you know, they've been very comfortable with this. The faster you get to the person's last seen location, the more successful and the higher percentage of locating the person will be.
So it works like I mean, I'm not a tech person, like, kind of like LoJack, like.
It's very similar, it's very similar to LoJack. So this, it's directional, so there's no readout telling me they're at Brandon Broadway. It's all directional. So when I turn this on, that's picking up that transmitter right there, okay? How this works is directional, so if I were walking away from it,
Oh.
did you notice how it kind of went a little quieter?
I see.
Okay, so this also works officer safety wise. Our officers don't have to be going this way. All they have to do is scan and know, okay, it's louder going this direction, I need to go this direction. Okay, that's all they need to do. And very similar to LoJack, we currently have 2 of these out, so what we do is kind of triangulate, start at one end, start at the other, and kind of bring it in.
And how far away can the signal be picked up?
It can be picked up on the ground about a mile away. Now, in our downtown area where you have the big buildings and stuff, it's a little more, less than that. However, as soon as we get this up in the helicopter, we can get it 5 to 10 miles away.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So yeah, it's good on that. Yeah, these are water resistant, so they can swim, they can take a shower, they can do all that with them. Now, as far as training goes, because that's the big $1 million question, nobody has time to train. I would, in a heartbeat, teach any one of you in less than 5 minutes how to use this equipment, and you can track 3 of those trackers, which is the test to be certified to use this. In 5 minutes, I can teach you how to do that. And you can be out the door doing it. Now, how we've done it, we were told by Project Lifesaver, oh, just train a handful of officers to be able to do that. Well, if you know real life world, okay, when the person goes missing, who's going to be on vacation? All those officers that you just trained. So that was not good enough for us in the city of Glendale. We trained every single one of our patrol officers how to use this, okay? That's talking 80 to 90 officers. We trained them in a patrol training day. In an hour, we set them up in teams. We taught them how to operate this equipment and had them locate 3 transmitters.
So when the caregiver or the loved one immediately realizes they've gone missing, so they contact you.
Yes.
You've given all of them a number?
Yeah, they
cell
dial
phone?
911.
Oh, they dial 911.
Our dispatchers, I give all of our family members the frequency number for their loved ones' vans.
Okay,
However, we're not expecting them to remember that.
right,
Okay, because in that situation, you're not going to remember.
right.
So our dispatchers are trained. I tell my families, call 911, say, I am a Project Lifesaver family. This is my address. Even if they're not at that address, our dispatch can go into the same computer system I use, look up that address, immediately pull up a picture of their loved one and the frequency number, along with medical conditions, that sort of thing that the family has provided us, and get those photos out immediately to the officers and get the frequency number out. So families really don't have to remember anything except 911 and I'm a Project Lifesaver client family.
And so you also have to train your 911 dispatchers.
Yes,
And the families come to you generally after there's been one
correct.
disappearance?
At least one. Usually, some have heard about the program and are being kind of proactive, but I would say 90% of
Sure, yes.
our families have come to us because their loved one has gone missing.
Is there any outreach to the community?
Yes.
Is there any outreach to the community?
Yeah, we have gone out to nursing homes, we've gone out to various schools, we've gone out to hospitals. I contact even, agencies outside of the city of Glendale and let them know if you have any families that are Glendale residents that you think would would apply to this. Usually, at least once a week, I'm coming across some agency or some family, like the Carr family, has been really instrumental in kind of getting us involved in some of those other agencies and reaching out to that. So yeah, there is some.
Sure, leaders' questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, the task force would like to ask some questions.
Question over here.
Hi. So do you feel the trainings have to be in-person training, or is there also an online training so you can get a larger mass of officers trained?
You can do, the bulk of the training you can probably get away with doing online. There's something to be said for physically having the equipment in your hands and doing the search. But that could be easily done, like we did classroom training, and as part of the training, you also do your training on autism and Alzheimer's and those types of things. So we do our classroom training, and then, like I said, we're outside for like 5-10 minutes with these officers. So yes, you could do it online very easily.
Other questions?
I had a question with regards to the financial aspect. When you provide the wristband for the family, do you do a means test? Do you determine how much they can afford to pay, or is it just voluntary?
It's all on their honor, all that sort of stuff. We just sit down and talk with them. Again, this is a program that, yeah, absolutely benefits the family, but it also benefits us as a law enforcement agency as well, because the resources aren't having to be pulled for a lengthy search. So, yeah, I just ask them, here's the price, what are you able to pay?
Is there any liability issues? Do they have to sign a consent form?
They do sign a contract, and the contract just basically talks to them about, you're being given this equipment. If you were to leave the program, then you're responsible for returning the equipment, that sort of stuff.
So, I mean, obviously, I think this is great, but I'm thinking, okay, Glendale, 19 clients. Do you feel like this could translate to Los Angeles County? Like, how many codes could go in that thing?
Well, yeah, well, you
Or
could.
you'd have to have a lot of codes, right?
Yeah.
We studied this technology and the other county sheriff's department doesn't endorse one product. Our position is there are other products. I was going to ask you, Tracy, are you guys using protect and locate features on any of your 19 clients that they now offer through Project Lifesaver?
Not as
It's got a GSM overlay which operates on cell, because the problem with this technology, it can be 4, 5, 6 hours before a caretaker realizes they've gone missing. It's fully dependent on the caretaker being aware of that and alerting the police. And then the search can take up to 8, 9, 10 hours depending on the terrain. So we studied it and evaluated. We do believe it's right in communities like Glendale, or any hilly community. It's a good technology, but there are 2 or 3 overlays of technology now that we would recommend looking at other options.
Well, we're looking at all of them,
But this product did merge with some of the technology with the LoJack folks, and they now have an overlay with the GPS on the cell phone system.
but.
So they will alert you when they're leaving.
But still, in my opinion, the way it is now, a caregiver might not realize it. And at this point, calling 911 gets you nowhere. So it seems to me this is, it's still a step in the right direction. Because currently, we have nothing that
Well,
can,
we do have, depending on what section of the county, Santa Clarita, Altadena, I think there's one other station that's already using different forms of the Project Lifesaver,
Yeah.
including the GSM.
right. Good question, Jen.
It was more of a comment. I think one of the other really key pieces of success for this program is the community outreach piece. And that, having raised a child with severe autism who is also a runner, I can say that it is a very isolating kind of existence, as is the act of caring for somebody with Alzheimer's. And I think what happens when one is in crisis is it's so stressful that it's very hard to think long-term, it's very hard to build community, it's very hard to get a night's sleep, really. And so I think that's a piece of this that's extremely important. It's not as important as finding a loved one, but it's a very important foundational piece that we would need to replicate in whatever programs you choose to have that piece, the outreach piece.
I agree. For instance, I just met with a woman in San Pedro who has a child who's on the autism spectrum, and, well, he's older now, I think he's in his 20s, but her biggest fear is that he will have a bad interaction with law enforcement, because he tends to wave his arms and get in your face and not obey commands. And she asked me to set up a meeting between her son, and, for instance, the commanding officer of LAPD in the Harbor area, and with the sheriff in the Lomita station. I said, absolutely, just, I want them to know who my son is. I want them to visually see him, know him, understand him, so if there was ever a situation, they would know. And this piece of it, as you said, is a real added value, that the officers actually have to interact with the family on a regular basis. Right.
And the department has had a lot of autism training.
Yes, I think that's
That was,
really
that
good.
was, the first step in this program was the autism training. And I will say after that, what was it, an hour that we did with you? We, like within a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, we had 5 what I would classify as saves, where the officers were going into a situation, an unknown situation, and they had that exact thing. An individual waving their hands, doing the exact opposite of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And the officers paused for a second and went, wait a minute, I remember hearing about this in the training. So to me, the training component is crucial. That alone brought us to saves. And I wanted to respond to one of the things too about, the officers knowing who the clients are. One of the pieces of our program is we create kind of the board of each client, which gives the frequency number, the address, the caregiver, gives a little bit of a biography on them, like what their conditions are. And these go out to, as soon as we get a new client on, these go out to all of our patrol officers. And one of the things they do is they look at, is this client in my area? And they become familiar with that. So if they see, like in this case, if they see little Matthew walking down the street, a red flag is going to go up to them that, you know what, little Matthew needs to be with mom or dad, so I need to stop and talk to them. That's also been the case with several of our Alzheimer's clients. They know that, yeah, they do like to walk, and they have a pattern every day they walk, and if one of our patrol officers sees them outside of that pattern, you know what, let's go find out, let's take you back home and make sure you get where you need to be too. So where we're not, it's not always a search. This information alone is giving those officers the ability to know, you know what, I know Matthew is not supposed to be out and about by himself, that type of thing.
It's a wonderful community collaboration.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a second presenter. Is there any final questions? Oh, Sullivan has a question, Tracy.
What's that?
One more?
Just one more question. I was browsing the ALI website, some of the equipment. I read that they seem to have latest technology. I don't know if that's the same equipment or a new one. The cost is something like 790 or 800. If you have had a chance to look at that, is there any difference in technology?
I
Is that
haven't
the
looked
same
at
thing?
that newer technology. I know they've done several upgrades as well, so yeah, I haven't looked at that.
That's an extra overlay, that's what I was talking about. It includes GSM, like your old AT&T phone network. It used to be on the GSM. Basically it's over the wireless provider cell towers, not satellite. But it also has an overlay for satellite in some areas, and that's why it's so expensive.
Is it that LoRa technology?
Right.
Mr. Gannon, is it that LoRa technology?
I think about NORA.
LoRa, LoRa, right. That's something that we've been approached by an agency that provides the LoRa technology, which is a low frequency cellular connection.
What's happening,
to the,
a lot of this, it gets too technical, you probably need a technical working group for this, but a lot of the old cell signals that are no longer being used, those frequencies, are being sold off to other companies and they're finding new uses for it like this.
This equipment I'm talking about, they call it PLI 1000. It uses radio frequency, and I was curious if that's the latest technology they are using, or it's something.
This is old technology, but it's very effective for what they're using it for.
Oh, sorry.
Just
if you could just mention to them, as far as efficacy, if there is collaboration among bordering cities and using the same technology versus everybody using different technology, how does that impact your efficacy in finding the person who has not stayed within the boundaries of Glendale?
Yeah, that is one of the issues we have run into, because our surrounding agencies do not have the technology. So if we do have a client that goes outside of that range, would we mutual aid and go assist on that search? Yeah, odds are we would. But if you have agencies that have completely different technology, they may not speak as well, so to speak, across the board, so that would definitely be an issue.
And could you give the statistics? I mean, in Glendale, I know, again, it's only 19 clients, and it's a small area, but of all those that went wandering and had this technology.
Yeah, we have 100% rate of us.
They found it within
Yes,
reasonable.
within, I think our longest search was like 3 hours. And the delay in that was getting the equipment up into the helicopter.
Pretty good success rate.
This is really helpful. We're looking at the kind of the technology piece. So there really is kind of a three-pronged approach that we're hoping to take. So I'm really glad we can dig in a little bit here on the technology today. So I'm pleased to bring up Barbara Fenton from Alzheimer's Greater LA, who will introduce our next speaker.
Sure.
Hi, I am Barbara McClendon, the Public Policy Director for Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles. Can you hear me? It says louder, says louder. We've been in the community since 1980, but our relationship with Medicolor really came into being last January when we separated from the Alzheimer's Association and became Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles. We provide an array of services. I handed around the cards, so I don't have to spend time going through them, but one of those services is the 24/7 helpline. So as we tried to figure out as a standalone agency, how could we do that? We contacted Medicolor and said, can you do this for us in the hours outside of regular work hours? And they said, yeah, let's make this happen for you. So we've been working with them since then. They've been very responsive to our training. They agreed that they were going to answer our calls with our protocol, which is really important because we're talking about families in crisis who are caring for a loved one with dementia. And we also work with them on their Medicolor California Found program, which is indeed a bracelet, what you really traditionally think of when you think of a program for someone with Alzheimer's. And as part of our work with them, they came to us a couple weeks ago and started talking to us about the LEAP program that you've got a flyer on, and they're going to go into much more detail about. And we know that cost is an issue for us here. We know the scope of our problem is significant. So we felt it was worthwhile to invite them to come and share with you all what the LEAP program is, the service that they offer, and we can talk about that, and whether that might be something that could be part of a solution for Los Angeles City and County. With that, I'll invite them up.
A little more pleasant here than in the Central Valley right now. For anybody who hasn't caught those. My name is David Leslie, and this is Justin Nolan. We are with Medicolor. I am immensely fortunate to get to tell people that I'm the CEO of this organization because it's got a history which is unmatched. And it is an honor to get to represent it. And when I get to speak with folks like you today about this issue, I will tell you that my mother and both grandmothers had Alzheimer's. And I can also tell you that my mom actually quite enjoyed her wandering experiences. But I can tell you what terrified her was when she was in the hands of the people who were protecting her. What she didn't understand was why she couldn't leave. And I will just sort of try to get to that heartbreaking part. That rips up a family. And one of the things that we do in an unparalleled way, and I'll come back to American Marks, but this is so special to me, is when it's called Safe Return, or it's about getting you home. They're not a tracking device. They're not a tracking device. But the trauma for my mother was, why can't I go home? Why do the police have me? And we specialize in our home because we look at this as a family matter. And it is tragic when there are no families. And we help in that as much as we can. But this is, everything we built around this is built toward recognizing this as a family challenge. So let me try to begin to make some sense.
You already did.
I owe it to my mom to talk about that every time I get this opportunity. And I've done this all over the country. I can tell you it's the most special thing I get to do as the CEO of Medical. It's just so close to my heart. We are a 60-year-old organization. Probably most of you have some familiarity with this symbol. Right? And you know the great thing about this is people knew about this before the internet. I mean, I can't even remember before smartphones, much less the internet. Medical Alert was in 25 countries and protected millions and millions of people in 1994. It began in 1957. It was founded by a family physician whose daughter went to the emergency room for stitches and was given the wrong sort of penicillin at that time, horse and she was near death for 6 weeks. So that doctor took $30,000 of his own money and his wife and his family in their garage, and $30,000 was real money in '57. We were a garage startup before the internet. And in the early 1960s, we got picked up in Good Housekeeping and then in Better Homes and Gardens. And pretty soon, Bob Hope was a spokesperson. And as I looked around the room, I'm sorry most of you are old enough to know who that is. So, the points that I want to give you, and Justin will give you the details of the program. 60 years. You don't protect lives in conjunction with the medical and the rescuer community for 60 years and not do it right. How many times could we be wrong before a doctor says, I'm not going to recommend that bracelet? It doesn't always work. How many times should we be wrong before an EMT says, I'm not going to pull the sleeves up, pull the shirt collar down and look for that bracelet because the information's wrong. So we have a service delivery model. There are very few organizations which can say, we have never failed. Not once in an emergency scenario. And what that is, of course, in the classic sense, it's iconically this jewelry. The greatest challenge of my job is people think that it's all about the jewelry. And it's not. This is a signal that a person is a member of a much more powerful system. This tells those who need to save you, stop, look for more information. Maybe it's on the back of the bracelet, or you might need more. That's why we're one of the oldest continuously operating 800 phone numbers in the United States. And people tell me all the time, I can't believe you use an 800 phone number. And this is still, this is just a stainless steel bracelet. But you know what? There's no batteries, there's no signals, there's no towers, and it's really inexpensive. And it works. But just as a little technology play, I got to go to an ambulance factory, and you know what? Every single one of them still had a two-way radio in it. It's kind of an interesting thing in today's world, right? And we all have our smartphones in our pocket and hope they don't go off. I hope mine doesn't. I put it on silent. Simplicity, when it works, is just fine. And I really want that message for all of you. This works. And it is incredibly inexpensive. And so we don't mess with it because it's not broken. But it is a pointer to a system. And that system is health information. And we have been the choreographer of information needed in emergencies for 60 years. And I would propose that the reason why we have had success all over the United States, more than 22,000 people in New York City, Phoenix, these issues of choreography, of coordinating information, because when I was in Phoenix, they gave me a figure, I think it was 8 or 9 blocks, and like 70% of the people could be in a different police jurisdiction. So how does that work? And it works there because we overlay all of it. If we have the privilege to work with you, what we specialize in is being that central choreography point. If you have an information system, we'll tie to it. If you don't need one. you can use ours. This is how this system works. I don't want to go into the details, but we are very technically astute. We have state-of-the-art confidentiality, protection, backup, recovery, all of those things. This is a signal that you're part of a system that will protect you, and it is available in a cloud-like fashion, completely securely. Any of you can use it from any jurisdiction. You can find someone from any one of your jurisdictions in any other jurisdiction, and you will have the information you need. So, if I can have you remember that it's much more than the bracelet. We love the brand recognition and the fact that people know this, but it is not just a bracelet. This is a signal to a far more complex and powerful system. And I would also say that my mom wouldn't wear the bracelet, but she was in the database, because why shouldn't she be? Because a lot of times she might have ID on her. The number of calls we get from people if they can simply find ID, public safety around the country, of course you call Medical Alert. They might be in the database. If they have Alzheimer's and they've been part of a program, there's a really reasonable chance. The way I describe it is this: if you find someone and they have the bracelet on a scale of 0 to 10, that's a 10 in the protection. They've got the bracelet, you've got the information. But if you don't put them in the database because they may not wear the bracelet, well, that's a 0. And it's going to stay a 0. If you'll put them in the database and they have identification, you have a higher than 50% odds you will find their information. So don't be deterred by that bracelet scenario. And that's why I talk so much about it's not just the bracelet, it's the system behind it. And you can be part of the system behind it. Whether you wear your bracelet or not, your information doesn't disappear when you take the bracelet off. So that's a point that I very much like to emphasize. Just a little bit about us, commitment. We are in. This is a huge problem and getting larger at an accelerating rate. From us as a mission-driven organization, as a worldwide organization, we are in. If you have any questions about that, feel free to call me. I will do whatever is necessary to convince you that we are all in. We also know what we're doing. I will participate in any diligence, any scrutiny that you would like to do, because you should do that. This matters. Don't take this lightly. But dig and poke and ask, and you will be satisfied with every question you ask. I promise you. We execute. And we have done so. Our people are so committed. And we're not drawn into flashy technologies just because they might seem cool. We worry about results, period. Now, we adopt technology when it gives us better results. But if it doesn't, then we stick with what works. And I think that's very similar in public safety in a lot of ways. So, it is an honor, again, to be here. And we were very much thinking of this as a working session. I hope it turns into that. You certainly don't need for me to talk. The part that I just wanted to say is we're in, we're good. We do it all over the country. We do it with highly disparate organizations and coordinate for them, or we do it with the NYPD. But I can tell you this, those precincts in the NYPD, it's not as much of a well-oiled machine that you might think it is. I mean, the coordination effort is pretty significant. That's what we do. We sit in the middle of chaotic, urgent situations, and we get the job done. And the LEAP program is something that's extraordinary for the federal government to come in and say, let's expand this. You don't get to say that many good things like that these days, right? So, I won't go into the political realm right now, but it's a pretty rare statement. This is a good program, and we're thrilled to be part of it. I'm going to let Justin talk about the rest.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for having me. My name is Justin Dahl. I'm Vice President of Marketing at Medical Alert. It's kind of a funky title, but marketing to us is more or less just making people aware of the programs and services that we have available. I'm here to talk about LEAP, which is an amazing program. But to put it into context, Medical Alert has been providing wanderer safety services for over a decade. This is not something that we're new at. This is a population and a community that we've been working with for a very long time. working with a lot of the different nonprofits in the space, specifically with Alzheimer's dementia, but over the last 2 years, also with autism. We work with the National Autism Association, we work with Autism Speaks, and we are part of the AWARE collaboration, which is specifically regarding monitoring. So, yeah, sorry, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, great. So, I take that a step back. 2 years ago, we were approached by the Federal Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance. They have been giving grants for the last 3 to 4 years to law enforcement organizations all over the country to basically create a database of sorts for people with Alzheimer's. This is specifically Alzheimer's. This was an autism, although new legislation is going to include that. We don't have to talk about that. However, they were giving these grants out, and literally some of these law enforcement organizations were creating these databases that were relatively useless. And in some sense, they were Excel spreadsheets sitting on top of somebody's computer with the person's personal health information, which, if you're an organization that understands personal health information, that's a really bad thing to do. So the Department of Justice reached out to us and said, look, this isn't working. You guys are a nonprofit organization. You're the leader in this space that understands how to utilize this information and how to deliver this information, where we became a network of sorts. So the Department of Justice gave us a grant to develop an even more in-depth infrastructure into how this might work and how a program might work on a national scale, where, quite frankly, it doesn't matter if they sign up in Glendale or if they sign up in Los Angeles. The information becomes available to everybody and to any organization so that there's a broader scope. So what is LEAP? LEAP is our law enforcement access portal. It provides law enforcement in a particular area with access to information that we have on somebody. For the vast majority of our members, that includes all of the demographic information that we would need to identify somebody, up to and including a picture. It allows them access to that information, but at the same time, we handle the choreography component of it. We can send out that information. So if a law enforcement organization calls us and says, this person has been reported as missing, we handle the choreography of getting that information out to local area hospitals. We handle the choreography of getting that information out to local area senior centers. We handle the choreography of getting that information out to other police departments within the general area. And then on the opposite side of that, when the person is found, we handle getting the caregivers involved and getting the caregivers notified. The last thing a police officer wants is to find the person, they know they have Alzheimer's, they know there's that area, but A, they can't identify who they are, and B, they have no idea how to figure out who caregivers are. We've had a case where a person that was 15 years old with autism sat in a police department in Phoenix for 12 hours because they had no idea how to reach the caregivers. We do that part. We handle all of that. So what the LEAP program is this portal to our access, to our work. But it also goes the other direction. It provides law enforcement organizations an opportunity to be proactive. A law enforcement officer can literally enroll somebody in their community into our program, into our services at no cost. They can take the information, they can log into our system, they can enroll the person. We then provide out the bracelets, we provide a necklace, we provide a bunch more information, but it doesn't stop there. We become that choreography of services. If a person has dementia and they're in Los Angeles, and an officer from the LAPD enrolls somebody in our program, that person's information is then delivered to local area organizations like Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles, who then can reach out to their family and their caregivers and talk about other resources that are available. Are there support groups available? Are there other wandering components that are available? Is there education that's necessary? Are there adult daycares that are available? Etc. So that not only are they connected to Medical Alert, they become connected to a community of resources around them. So over the last year, we did a pilot program that just, it included 10 law enforcement organizations of varying sizes and in varying areas around the country so that we could learn and really understand how this could work, what could work, and what was necessary to make it work. In December of last year, we opened this program up to law enforcement organizations across the country. And since December to now, we now have 144 law enforcement organizations that have enrolled in the LEAP program. The LEAP program does not cost a dime. There's never a cost to the police department, there's never a cost to the person that gets enrolled. We do have components that are necessary. One of those components is education. So we work with, again, a fairly large group of condition-specific nonprofits. We don't claim to be the experts in Alzheimer's, so we work with organizations like Alzheimer's Greater Los Angeles, the Alzheimer's Association, and a number of others to create what is essentially a course on Alzheimer's and dementia. We work with the National Autism Association to create a course on autism. And then one that actually just goes through, here's all of the different information necessary, all of the resources, just so that every officer has a glimpse of the fact that there are a ton of resources available. We don't expect them to remember it, but we do expect them to know that it's there.
So I gotta start because I'm confused, or I mean, help me out here. I'm dense when it comes to all this. So help me understand how the bracelet, I know it's not the bracelet, but it's more than the bracelet. How would a family who has a loved one who tends to wander, how does this happen for them?
Yeah, so
Does a law enforcement person have to enroll them? How do they get the bracelet? And what happens when they have the bracelet on, they wander, somebody finds them, they call this 1-800 number, and that puts into motion what?
So,
I know you guys all know this.
no.
I'm like, how does this work?
Perfect question. So each bracelet actually has a unique identifier on it. So that if somebody finds somebody with a bracelet on, they flip the bracelet over, and they call Medical Alert, they give us the identifier, so it's just like their Medical Alert member number.
It's confidential, right?
Right, but
so that
it logs, it gets into some network.
Right, so then that basically builds in our network, so we understand. So this is another, actually, let's take a step back, and I think it's a really good and important point to make. Quite often, people that are found wandering are not found by police officers, and are not found by sheriff's departments.
Right.
They're found by a deli owner.
Right.
They're found by an EMT because the person is fainted from dehydration or exhaustion. So anybody, Good Samaritan calls us. And then that's a scenario where if it's an EMS person and they're taking them to a hospital, we have all the caregiver information. Medical Alert will then call the caregivers, make sure a caregiver knows where they're going. But we can also provide that information to the EMS. We can provide their actual medical history. We'll know which hospital they're going to, so then we can reach out to the hospital ahead of time, provide them with
Before the EMS, what if they haven't fainted, what if they're wandering and somebody finds them?
It's Good Samaritans call us all the time.
And what happens?
And then we basically can talk to the Good Samaritan, but it's more of a scenario.
You have an address, you have,
Yes.
how do you get them back home?
We have every available piece of information on that person. We call their caregivers, we talk to their caregivers, we let them know where they are.
Okay.
We will literally stay on the line until somebody is there.
All right.
We don't stop dialing.
Okay, good. I wasn't getting that.
Yeah, and we work with a large network of local organizations. So one of the organizations in New York City is an organization called Caring Kind. They're a phenomenal organization. They work with Alzheimer's dementia. We've actually, because we couldn't get a caregiver to be able to get to a hospital in New York City, where we reached out to them, they sent a car to pick up the caregiver to take them to the hospital because their loved one couldn't get car. So what's really great about a lot of those kinds of events is law enforcement is included in all. It never becomes a law enforcement incident.
individuals register themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the vast majority do. The LEAP program is designed to allow law enforcement to be able to do it for them and to basically create a sense of connection to that community, to be
But they
proactive.
can do it individually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Supervisor, actually, we're trying to find a business model that allows us, so that people in your position can say, if you're in LA County, you're covered. Because that's really the way it should be. That's our mission.
Yeah.
And then the effort is about enrolling and simply gathering the information. And it's nothing more than putting the pertinent information into our system, where it is then available, and our people are fully trained to understand the situation and say, well, this is what we need to do next. So there's a protocol for each situation.
So the biggest drawback is, of course, if they're not wearing the bracelet, they don't have ID.
That is a devilish.
That's probably the flaw of all of these programs.
And in our mind, that's just not a good reason not to do it for when they do have the bracelet.
Well, right, I'm just saying.
So it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but boy,
But if they're not wearing the bracelet and they have ID and somebody,
absolutely.
finds them.
Then the bracelet is
and someone
unnecessary.
calls 911,
They can call 911,
and
they can.
somehow that would get connected to the network.
Yeah, typically, and that's part of the educational training process is at any time you have anybody that this is, that the case is Alzheimer's dementia, something
Right.
you've been wondering, to call medical alert,
Right.
to let us know. And again, there are a number of times where it's not somebody that's in our system, but then they just get added into our system so that if something else happens, we can then.
And do our 911 systems automatically, if they get a call, would they call medical?
Not
If they are dispatched?
Not now.
Yeah, that's
Not at this point, but that's, and again, I think that's part of the awareness and training. So when working with the NYPD, it took plenty of time and took a lot of effort. But we've gotten to a point now with the NYPD that we are part of that program.
Yeah, got it.
So to clarify,
That's all right.
so to clarify, it's a two-part. One is a database that there is no charge for a family or for law enforcement puts them in. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the other part is the ID bracelet, which is like the diabetes bracelet, which has just an ID number with an 800 number that whoever finds him calls that number, and you connect them to the family, right?
We connect to the family ourselves because
Correct.
and with the Good Samaritans, there are some rules as to how much information can be provided. So we really rely on ourselves for that component. But yes, essentially that is correct.
And then you mentioned that the police can do some of the data entry on behalf of that individual.
Correct.
So if you're doing it on behalf of that individual, how about HIPAA laws? And how do you get consent for them to enter that information on their behalf?
That's actually a great question, and HIPAA, I think, is one of the most least understood set of regulations that are out there. Technically speaking, we don't fall under HIPAA. That being said, we provide the paperwork and the information necessary so that when law enforcement is getting information from somebody or from one of their caregivers, that there is a statement of release within that.
Specifically with HIPAA.
So the police don't just put it in there without
Right, so
permission.
that's-
And his only point is that confidentiality is, you just need to do it on a moral basis.
Right.
It's not actually covered by the regulations, not a HIPAA, but it doesn't matter, we do the exact same situation. So there is permission in
We
there.
follow all the necessary protocols.
Okay, so
Great.
it's basically the officer works with the family to get their consent to go ahead and register them into this program.
Correct.
Yeah. And so how many states are you in?
With the LEAP program specifically, we're now in 14 different states with 144 organizations. As far as medical alert is concerned, we have medical alert members in every state of the union. So medical alert is highly recognized regardless of the state. But this program specifically is now in 14 states.
And then how many people do you have enrolled? Or could you share how many people do you have enrolled
in LA County or in California?
Well, yeah, sure. So I guess it depends. Specifically in wandering, LA County is just a few thousand people. Again, I think that's one of those components where getting police and getting law enforcement involved in creating awareness. In New York City alone, we have over 22,000 people enrolled in this program. So as areas become more aware that this is an available service and it's an available service for free, they're seeing a lot more enrollment.
Well, that's why we're here. We need to enroll tens of thousands of more people.
Right.
And that's the primary issue. The system's there. The challenge is enrollment.
In the states that you're in particular New York, are there other wandering systems in place in addition to LEAP?
Yeah, so I think that's actually a really great point. We don't consider ourselves competitive with anybody. Like, we work in plenty of areas that have Project Lifesaver, and I can tell you a lot about Project Lifesaver. I think they're really great people. We know all about their technology, and we work with them so that people that get enrolled with Project Lifesaver are also getting enrolled with Medical.
Yeah.
There's a lot of organizations
I
that
see
that's
this
the
as
case.
compatible,
Typically, some of the more technologically savvy, I think that's probably the wrong way of putting it, but they're really great for high-risk people. They're really great for your 5-year-old with autism that bolts and a family lives near a lake, right?
Yeah.
That's a scenario where 5 minutes makes a massive difference. Medical Alert's program is phenomenal for bulk. When we're talking tens of thousands of people, and that's a scenario where, and it may not be the highest of risks, right? It may not be somebody that is even likely at this point to wander. Maybe they will down the road, or maybe it's they wander, but they wander in a way that it's not as of a high risk as like a 5-year-old autism wandering, right? So we certainly work with an awful lot of other organizations. We work with a lot of different technologies. We provide opinion on a lot of technologies, quite frankly. A lot of groups come to us and say, look, we've got these 10 organizations pitching us. Can you help us figure out which one makes the most sense? Being a nonprofit without having stake in the game there actually helps us provide a solid opinion in that area.
So we just have about 2 more minutes if there's any additional questions.
I do have a question. So in terms of enrollment, have you piloted working with healthcare providers as a more of a preventive measure if the patients coming in don't have a medical bracelet, but do have an Alzheimer's diagnosis?
Yes. We're just beginning a program with the largest healthcare insurance company in the country, United Healthcare, for all of their patients on Medicaid diagnosed with dementia. They are putting a bracelet. So we are, the depth is sort of regional, and we're trying to go far more national. And I wish I could tell you, you were the last part of the country to do this.
Oh, wow.
But you're not. It's fantastic for you to be able to talk about it. Fantastic questions.
Justin, real quick, this new technology like capture fingerprints. So would you get a match later? That's how we identify them who you are.
It's purely like if you wanted to provide a fingerprint PDF kind of or a fingerprint JPEG that you could then take back, absolutely.
Pictures.
And those are the types of areas where we want to work with folks who do that every day to get that right. We do it in a simplistic way.